energy imports. This includes Russian oil, Russian gas, Russian coal. And it's important to know the context here. The US has only been importing about 3% of its oil from Russia. So it's a small amount in the big picture. And this is mostly symbolic. The U.S. now will have to figure out where to make up that oil coming from, that 3% that did come from Russia. There have been reports that the White House is considering a trip to Saudi Arabia to negotiate with Saudi Arabia about getting more oil from that country. The White House has dismissed those reports. Also reports that maybe they could be considering Venezuela or Iran, but obviously those countries come with a handful of concerns themselves, as they've been accused and found guilty of committing human rights abuses. So that is something that we'll see playing out now. But the point is, the U.S. is not going to have difficulty figuring out where else to get supply from. This is not a supply and demand issue, as my sources who are in the oil industry have explained to me. There is not an issue with lack of supply for oil in the US. The issue is geopolitical tensions, and we can expect to have more upward pressure on the price of oil, because oil has significant risk for a premium component of its prices. So oil is greatly affected by these geopolitical tensions, and that's why we've seen the price rise. And that's why we're going to continue to see the price rise, because it's not going to get better now that the U.S. has made this announcement. And you heard the president talking about that when he said, this is, quote, defending freedom is going to cost. So he's been warning Americans that the freedom does not come free, and that they will see a higher price at the pump, likely because of this announcement. But the administration also has been doing things to try to alleviate that. But really, sources say there's no way around it. This is going to impact prices at the pump. We can continue to see inflation rise. So as for how expensive gas will get, right now, the national average is already over $4. I believe right now it's $4.17. We can expect that price to go up. As far as how high inflation could rise, right now it's over 7%. There were some estimates earlier this year it could hit 9%. That remains to be seen, so we don't really know. But that's something that absolutely will affect Americans' pocketbooks. Now, what also is going to be interesting is seeing if there are other countries that join the U.S., possibly European nations, that will also ban Russian imports of gas and oil. That would be far more significant, but it would also be incredibly consequential for Europe. Europe, for example, gets about 40% of its natural gas from Russia. That is a huge percentage, and that would not only be a big blow to the Russian economy, but also a major mess for European nations. So, like I said, this is largely symbolic right now that the U.S. is making this ban. The bigger question here is, will there be other countries, and how many countries will join the U.S. in these kind of bans? And I will take any other questions that our viewers have. So let me just summarize. It doesn't seem like we have some questions. Let me sum this up and finish this out we're talking about what is next. I think what's next is that we could see possibly the Senate. There's still some lawmakers that say that they're working on legislation maybe to go a step further than the White House has gone today with this executive order. We have not yet seen the text of this executive order. We're still waiting to hear more from senior administration officials of what's fully involved in this ban. But also there's some reporting, and sources have told us at NewsNation that Congress was already working on getting this passed. There was already bipartisan agreement that lawmakers wanted this kind of ban on Russian imports for oil and gas. So the White House was kind of forced into this situation of wanting to get ahead of it, wanting to make the announcement, wanting to take control of enforcing this ban on Russian imports. But could Congress want to take it a step further? That's possible. We'll also see how the rest of the world reacts, and see if any other European countries also impose their own bans. So thank you so much for listening.